particular, we use a particular objective, let's say, in terms of we wish to reach enlightenment, or we wish to be happy, we wish to be healthy, we wish to be more focused, all of that. Yes, those are just very skillful tricks. But beyond that, the actual aim, the hidden aim, is to actually let go of thinking. That's the real aim. The obvious sort of labels that we use by saying that by performing the practice of Genrezik, then we will become more compassionate, we will become more able, we will become more, let's say, a better person or something like that. That's really just a trick, nothing more. And this is very important to keep in mind, because we could get very confused with that trick and end up thinking that that trick is that goal, you know. That's not it. The actual goal or the achievement is somehow unexplained, which is supposed to happen naturally. But if we tell ourselves do something that is natural, of course it's impossible, yes? So therefore we have to do something that is almost forced. So therefore we force ourselves just to our conditioned mind by saying that we are doing this for a particular reason, particular purpose, for someone else or for all sentient beings. These are all just very skillful methods. But the actual meditation, the actual benefit is supposed to take place by itself almost involuntarily. And so therefore we give ourselves this idea that hopefully within half an hour we will have actual meditation, or maybe in an hour, or within a few hours, or within a few sessions, or days, or weeks, months, years, and so on, or lifetimes. So those are very skillful ways, but the actual meditation, sadly to say, there is no real guarantee of exactly when it will happen. But it's, I may have mentioned in the past that it's sort of like putting up the sail sort of thing, hoping that we will catch the wind. So therefore, the more we meditate or the more we practice, then somehow we will be able to, hopefully we'll be able to catch the wind, that wind. So, to get ourselves motivated, yes, we have to think of something that is probably emotional, you know, something that really moves us. It could be individually very, very different from one another. To some, it could be the idea of the everyday world being very confusing, very difficult, and I want to find a way out of it. And to some, it might be a way that I really have no other ambitions other than serving myself, that I really want to find some form of happiness, whatever form of happiness this may be. And those of us who are used to more, you know, religious practices, there we may think that this form of happiness may come through enlightenment. And some of us feel that this may come through hardship. And so therefore, putting these times, which is difficult to come by, if you do it, it's a form of hardship. It's a form of hardship practice. And so therefore, by doing these hardships on myself, performing these hardships on myself, that I could find happiness. doesn't matter. All in all, whatever forms of emotional motivations that we could use, it's fine. But the underlying sort of aspiration that the practitioners really have is that somewhere in between something, some form of truly a real natural occurrence will take place. That's the thing. And that is very, very difficult to describe. And the best way to describe is, as I said right now, a sense of awareness that happens when we don't really think, when we don't really sort of verbalize, of course, externally, but particularly innerly, internally. So this is, of course, very difficult to force on ourselves. This has to happen by itself. And somehow the best possible conditions we can use are these sadhanas. These sadhanas are completely fake. Actually, if there were Buddhas and Bodhisattvas that are present here, let's say, if you ask them, they would truly agree that they are, that there is no real, originality in a way. That they were really made up just for the moment, just for that brief moment. If it helps the individual, then so be it. Then they would make up that lie. And that would explain the variety and the variety of practices actually. Of course, hard-headed practitioners mourn over the types of practices that have already, that have become extinct. Which is actually, of course, it's a sad fact that over the course of time, many forms of sadhanas or practices were lost due to time, due to conditions, and they will never come back again in our time, or in the future for that matter. The truth of the variety of practices that exist, let's say we are supposed to have very limited resource or practices actually nowadays. Still, to newcomers and to intermediate practitioners, it seems that the varieties that, even though they are less, they are supposed to be less, it still seems very daunting to us, yes, that there are too many. How on earth are we able to keep up with so many practices? That we only have 24 hours a day and there are hundreds of practices. How will we be able to keep up with these? And the best way to describe is that they're all made up. Just as we all have unbelievable amount of, let's say, palette of, let's say, taste, for odor, for taste, for sights, sound, touches or feelings. Accordingly, just to one individual there is unlimited, let's say, palette. And then if you think in terms of collective, then numbers won't be able to contain actually how many pellets there are there. So therefore, accordingly, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, meaning those who have understood the secret, sort of, so to speak, they have to constantly come up like an artist, actually. For example, tea or coffee. I suppose before there was just probably one type of tea or one type of coffee, but now there are so almost unlimited types of coffees and teas, yes? And we are still wondering how to find more varieties. And so therefore, individuals have to come up with more varieties. And it's such a pressure. In the same way, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas have to come up with unbelievable types of practices, actually, to somehow satisfy, in a way, the type of taste that we have in terms of how we want to be motivated. So therefore, the number of sadhanas or practices that are present today are not in any way better than the other, or more profound than the other, or much more swifter than the other. That the quality is the same, the potency is the same. But if the right method is used by